So, you guys got to let me know if there's anything wrong with the video quality or if the slides are working or not working. Because again, I'm working in a very unique type way.
Are Tina and Uncle Charlie logged on? Because I don't see them.
No, but they're not answering my text messages, my private text messages, or the group chat. I put us all in a group chat.
Oh, okay.
So they may be out tonight.
Huh, that's weird.
Okay. So, you guys, is it a full screen for you guys? Says the account of Job?
Yes.
All right. Well, now do you see that there's some test questions?
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm going to start off with Mike. Is Mike there?
Yes, but he's gonna say go to somebody else.
I don't think so. How many children did Job have? I think that's the easiest question up there.
He said he doesn't know.
Okay, Miguel, how many children did Job have?
I think it was 4 sons and 3 daughters.
It was 10 total. 7 sons and 3 daughters.
7 and 3.
Now you're going to make me look it up because you got me questioning myself.
At the end, he gave him 10.
That's right.
But at the beginning, he had 7.
No, he got exactly the same back, 10 and 10.
Yeah, I don't know any of these answers.
Oh, let me ask. Okay. Was Job's wife supportive during all this calamity?
No.
Correct. How long did Job's friends wait until they spoke with him?
A week.
Yes. 7 days.
Go, Miguel.
I said 7 first.
Yes, you
Because
did.
that's all
I
he-
heard you. I heard you. I heard him try and overpower. I heard him.
Either way, I'm gonna get the credit for it.
Okay. So, were his friends supportive of his loss? Anyone?
No.
No, I'd say no.
No, they were not. From what we have read, was Job deserving of the events that followed?
Well, his friends said that he deserved it because he did something very wrong.
They thought he did something wrong. They
Right,
said
well,
to be punished the way he is, but I mean, it didn't seem like he did anything wrong. I mean,
So, Job did absolutely nothing wrong, and God even says that he's righteous. He was undeserving. This wasn't some byproduct of punishment where he did something that was deserving of all these things. I'm trying to find the exact verse. I have it in front of me. And it says, this is Job chapter 2, verse 3. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. And still he holds fast with his integrity, although thou moves me against him to destroy him without a cause. So there was no cause for it. He was perfect according to God, or perfect and outright. It doesn't mean he was sinless, but he did things appropriately, and he was being praised by God. So the last question, which is surprising to me, if you guys don't know this one, but in life, does the rain fall on the just and the unjust? And do people who we deem perfect suffer while the wicked prosper?
yes.
Yes, that is the correct answer. Okay. So just to recap, I did find it real quick here for Miguel. Job chapter 1, verse 2, and there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. So he had 10 kids.
10 kids.
10 kids. So let's get into chapter 21 is where we left off. I don't know why that looks like that. Did I do this?
Did I do that?
I did do that, and I wrote chapter 121 at the top, but if you note, it's actually chapter 20 at the actual verses there. So we read chapter 20, and we ended off with Zophar, the Naamathite, essentially reproaching Job, right? And so the last thing we heard from him is He will flee from the iron weapon. A bronze bow will pierce him through. It is drawn, and he comes out of the body. Yes, the glittering point comes out of his gall. Terrors come upon him. Total darkness is reserved for his treasures. An unfamed fire will consume him. It shall go ill with him who is left in his tent. The heavens will reveal his iniquity, and the earth will rise up against him. The increase of his house will depart, and his goods will flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion from God for a wicked man, the heritage appointed to him by God. So we're going to see how Job responds to his friends either providing an analogy of his type of behavior or directly accusing him. So this is Job. Listen carefully to my speech, and let this be your consolation. Bear with me that I may speak. And after I have spoken, keep mocking. As for me, is my complaint against man? And if it were, why should I not be impatient? Look at me and be astonished. Put your hand over your mouth. Even when I remember, I am terrified, and trembling takes hold of my flesh. Why do the wicked live and become old? Yes, become mighty in power. Their descendants are established with them in their sight, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither the rod of God is upon them. Their bull breeds without failure, their calves without miscarriage. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They sing to the tambourine and harp, and rejoice to the sound of the flute. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Yet they say to God, depart from us, for we do not desire the knowledge of your ways. Who is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what profit do we have if we pray to him? Indeed, their prosperity is not in their hand. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. How often is the lamp of the wicked put out? How often does their destruction come upon them? The sorrows God distributes in his anger. They are like straw before the wind, like chaff that the storm carries away. They say, God lays up one iniquity for his children. Let him recompense him, or recompense him, that he may know it. So we see here Job saying to his friend, who his friend saying, the only reason that this is happening to you is because you're a wicked man, and bad things don't happen to bad people. And Job's like, okay, you know what I mean? Tell him shut his mouth. You know what I mean? Listen. And he's going to keep going on. He goes, let his eyes see destruction, and let him drink the wrath of the Almighty. For what does he care about his household after him, when the number of his months is cut in half? Can anyone teach God knowledge, since he judges those on high? One dies in his full strength, being wholly at ease and secure. His pails are full of milk, and the marrow of his bones is moist. Another man dies in the bitterness of his soul, neither having eaten with pleasure. They lie down alike in the dust, and worms cover them. Oh, there's Tatia. And worms cover them. Look, I know your thoughts, and the schemes with which you would wrong me. For you say, where is the house of the prince, and where is the tent, the dwelling place of the wicked? Have you not asked for those who travel the road? And do you not know their signs? For the wicked are reserved for the day of doom. They shall be brought out on the day of wrath. Who condemns his way to his face? And who repays him for what he has done? Yet he shall be brought out of the grave, and a vigil kept over the tomb. The clods of the valley shall be sweet to him. Everyone shall follow him, as countless have gone before him. How then can you comfort me with empty words, since falsehood remains in your answers? So, Job, I know we just picked you up, Tatia. Job is responding to his supposed friend who's saying, the reason you suffer is because you have sin in your life. You've done some evil deed, and those who do evil are punished. And Job says, you're out of your mind. Shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. Look at the wicked people on this earth, how they prosper. And he gives a bunch of examples. And that was one of the questions that we had in the beginning.
What number are you on? 26?
We are on chapter 21 and we're about to start in chapter
We're about
20.
to start 22.
So just a quick recap. Job has responded to his buddy who says, the reason why he's suffering is because he's done something that's deserving of the suffering. And Job sits there and responds and says that, essentially the rain falls on the good and the bad. And there's many times that the unjust will prosper, right? The wicked king will continue to keep going until the day that he dies. So let's go into chapter 22, fresh start, picked up to Tia. Then Eliphaz, the Temanite, answered and said, can a man be profitable to God? Though he who is wise may be profitable to himself. Is it any pleasure to the Almighty that you are righteous? Or is it any gain to him that you make your ways blameless? Is it because of your fear of him that he corrects you and enters into judgment with you? Is not your wickedness great, and your iniquity without end? For you have taken pledges from your brother for no reason, and stripped the naked of their clothing, and you have not given the weary water to drink, and you have withheld bread from the hungry. So, not only did the other guys say that there must be some kind of sin in his life, this guy has the audacity to basically put it on him of what he's done wrong. He stripped the naked of their clothing, and he's not given weary water to drink, given the weary water to drink, and he's withheld bread from the hungry. So we already know in reading the first 2 chapters that God vouches for Job and that Job is perfect and upright, and Satan is just tormenting him, just to torment him. So we know that this guy's counsel is wrong, but we're going to keep going on. This is more accusations. You have sent widows away empty, and the strength of the fatherless was crushed. Therefore snares are all around you, and sudden fear troubles you, or darkness, so that you cannot see, and an abundance of water covers you. Is not God in the height of heaven, and see the highest stars? How lofty they are! And you say, what does God know? He can judge through the deep. Can he judge through the deep darkness? Thick clouds cover him, so that he cannot see, and he walks above the circle of the heaven. We just, again, this particular section, let's keep going through it because it's just more of this. Will you keep the old way which wicked men have trod, who were cut down before their time, whose foundations were swept away by a flood? They said to God, depart from us. What can the Almighty do to them? Yet he filled their houses with good things, but the counsel of the wicked is far from me. The righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent laugh at them. Surely our adversaries are cut down, and the fire consumes their remnant. Now acquaint yourself with him, and be at peace. Thereby good will come to you. Receive, please, instruction from his mouth, and lay up his words in your heart. If you return to the Almighty, you will be built up. You will remove iniquity far from your tents. Then you will lay your gold in the dust, and the gold of Ophir among the stones of the brooks. Yes, the Almighty will be your gold and your precious silver, for then you will have your delight in the Almighty and lift up your face to God. You will make your prayer to him. He will hear you, and you will pay your vows. You will also declare a thing, and it will be established for you. So light will shine on your ways. When they cast you down and you say exaltation will come, then he will save the humble person. He will even deliver one who is not innocent. Yes, you will be delivered by the purity of your own hands. So, again, this dude's laying it on him. You're guilty of all these things. If you repent of those sins that you have committed, God will turn to you. Here's his response. Then Job answered and said, even today my complaint is bitter. My hand is listless because of my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come up to his seat. I would present my case before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words which he would answer me and understand what he would say to me. Would he contend with me in his great power? No. But he would take note of me. There the upright could reason with him, and I would be delivered forever from my judge. Look, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, and I cannot perceive him. When he works on the left hand, I cannot behold him, and when he turns to the right hand, I cannot see him. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold. My foot has held fast to his steps. I have kept his way and not turned aside. I have not departed from the commandment of his lips. I have treasured the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. But he is unique, and who can make him change? And whatever his soul desires, that he does. For he performs what is appointed for me. And many such things are with him. Therefore, I am terrified at his presence when I consider this. I am afraid of him. For God made my heart weak, and the Almighty terrifies me, because I was not cut off from the presence of darkness, and he did not hide deep darkness from my face. Since times are not hidden from the Almighty, why do those who know him see not his days? Some remove landmarks. They seize flocks violently and feed on them. They drive away the donkey of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox as a pledge. They push the needy off the road. All the poor of the land are forced to hide. Indeed, like wild donkeys in the desert, they go out to their work, searching for food. The wilderness yields food for them and for their children. They gather their fodder in the field and glean in the vineyard of the wicked. They spend the night naked without clothing and have no covering in the cold. They are wet with the showers of the mountain and huddle around the rock they want for shelter. And huddle around the rock for one of shelter. Some snatch the fatherless from the breast and take a pledge from the poor. They cause the poor to go naked without clothing, and they take away the sheaves from the hungry. They press out oil within their walls and tread wine presses, yet suffer thirst. The dying groan in the city, and the souls of the wounded cry out. Yet God does not charge them with wrong. There are those who rebel against the light. They do not know its ways, nor abide in its path. The murderer rises with the light. He kills the poor and needy, and in the night he is like a thief. The eye of the adulterer waits for twilight, saying, no eye will see me, and he disguises his face. In the dark they will break into houses which they marked for themselves in the daytime. They do not know the light, for the morning is the same to them as the shadow of death. If someone recognizes them, they are in the terrors of the shadow of death. They should be swift on the face of the waters. Their portion should be cursed in the earth, so that no one would turn into the way of their vineyards. As drought and heat consume the snow waters, so the grave consumes those who have sinned. The womb should forget him. The worm should feed sweetly on him. He should be remembered no more, and wickedness should be broken like a tree. For he preys on the barren who do not bear, and he does no good for the widow. But God draws the mighty away with his power. He rises up, but no man is sure of life. He gives them security, and they rely on it. Yet his eyes are on their ways. They are exalted for a little while, then they are gone. They are brought low. They are taken out of the way like all others. They dry out like the heads of grain. Now, if it is not so, who will prove me a liar and make my speech worth nothing? So Job has, to me, I wrote in my little notes that I have on the side here, does it sound like Job has no answer or understanding about death? And I highly disagree, because again, this just falls back to that commentary when they say it seems like, Job's talking out of his rear, so to speak. But here, to me, it's like he's displaying that there is a promise to those who do follow, and there are those who are wicked sinners, that they prosper on this earth, but they're brought low into an eternal darkness. So I think he has a pretty good understanding of it. But I will tell you guys, spoiler alert, that next week God is going to answer Job, and we're going to learn a lot. So, and we're going to get some, we'll wait for that week so that way we don't ruin any of it. But we see here where Job is almost saying, like, he would do things differently. Doesn't seem right that these people get to prosper. but I am well aware that those that are punished, and he's echoing the fact that he knows that people get punished for those things, but not always. And he knows that that they can have this exceptional life, but he knows that when they die, there's this punishment. What he doesn't know is why he's going through what he's going through. And he's defending that he's righteous. And his friends are saying he's not. So we're going to go back to the Shuhite. Then Bildad, the Shuhite, answered and said, dominion and fear belong to him. He makes peace in his high places. Is there any number to his armies? Upon whom does his light not rise? How then can man be righteous before God? Or how can he be pure who is born of a woman? If even the moon does not shine, and the stars are not pure in his sight, how much less man, who is a maggot, and a son of man, who is a worm? See Job's response. Job answered and said, how have you helped me? I'm sorry. How have you helped him who is without power? So think about this comment right now. How many kids did Job lose, Uncle Charlie?
Oh, let me see. At least 4, I know that.
Okay, so he lost 10 kids. You missed the intro, so it's fresh in our mind. Sorry. He lost his sheep. He lost his
Donkey.
his donkeys. He lost all his livestock. It sounds like he lost his wife because his wife told him to curse God and die. And he's lost his health. He's got boils all over his body. And the only thing we also will actually learn that he has maggots that are inside the boils through some infants in the later chapters. And that he's using just shards of broken pottery to scrape these boils to provide some type of relief almost. And so he's now telling this guy, Bildad, how have you helped him who is without power? Like, where are his friends that come and say, we love you. We know you're going through a rough time right now. You need anything, we're here. Are you okay? And none of them are saying that. They're, you loser. You have done something to deserve this, Mr. Oh, I'm holier than thou. Which is like the last thing that this guy needs, So that's his response. I could just feel it with him saying that. How have you helped him who is without power? How have you saved the arm that has no strength? How have you counseled one who has no wisdom? And how have you declared sound advice to many? To whom have you uttered words and whose spirit came from you? The dead tremble. Those under the waters are those inhabiting them. Sheol is naked before him, and destruction has no covering. He stretches out the north over the empty space. He hangs the earth on nothing. He binds up the water in his thick clouds, yet the clouds are not broken under it. He covers his face. He covers the face of his throne and spreads his cloud over it. He drew a circular horizon on the face of the waters and the boundary of light and darkness. The pillars of heaven tremble and are astonished at his rebuke. He stirs up the sea with his power, and by his understanding he breaks up the storm. By his spirit he adorned the heavens. His hand pierced the fleeing serpent. Indeed, these are the mere edges of his ways, and how small a whisper we hear of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand? We're going to read a couple times. When I read stuff like this, and people like to have the belief that man is perpetually getting smarter because of access to information, intellect rises. And yet we're looking about a text that's probably about 5,000 to 6,000 years old. And he says, how can the earth be hung out in nothing. Think about that. Where's the telescope that they have? How do they draw inference to that? When we look at Greek mythology, when we look about, after this time, well after this time, how was the earth set? Does anyone remember?
Flat.
On the shoulders of Atlas.
Mm.
There was a guy who was carrying the earth. And there was no talk about rotation. There was no talk about any of those things. And yet here in Job, we see all those things. And Job is just using it as a rebuttal. Like, look at all these things that God has done. We cannot understand his power. How can you understand this? And he's going to continue here. It says, moreover, Job continued his discourse and said, as God lives, who has taken away my justice, and the Almighty who has made my soul bitter, as long as my breath is in me, and the breath of God in my nostrils, my lips will not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. Far be it from me that I should say you are right. Till I die, I will not put away my integrity from me. My righteousness I hold fast, and will not let it go. My heart shall not reproach me as long as I live. May my enemy be like the wicked, and he who rises up against me like the unrighteous. For what is the hope of the hypocrite? Though he may gain much, if God takes away his life, will God hear his cry when trouble comes upon him? Will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call on God? I will teach you about the hand of God. What is with the Almighty, I will not conceal. Surely all of you have seen it. Why then do you behave with complete nonsense? This is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the heritage of oppressors, received from the Almighty. If his children are multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those who survive him shall be buried in death, and their widows shall not weep. Though he heaps up silver like dust, and piles up clothing like clay, he may pile it up, but the just will wear it, and the innocent will divide the silver. He builds his house like a moth, like a booth which a watchman makes. The rich man will lie down, but not be gathered up. He opens his eyes, and he is no more. Terrors overtake him like a flood. A tempest steals him away in the night. The east wind carries him away, and he is gone. It sweeps him out of his place. It hurls against him and does not spare. He flees desperately from its power. Men shall clap their hands at him and shall hiss him out of his place. Surely all of you, I think I read that one already. Did I take that? I did. Double that one down. My bad. Yeah, did. Okay.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, this is right. We're on chapter 28.
That's correct. What
Okay.
you have shown. Mhm.
I don't know what happened on all these slides, guys, apparently. Okay, surely there is a mine for silver and a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the earth and copper is smelted from ore. Man puts an end to darkness and searches every recess for ore in the darkness and the shadow of death. He breaks open a shaft away from the people in places forgotten by feet. They hang far away from men. They swing to and fro as for the earth. From it comes bread, but underneath it is turned up as fire. Its stones are the source of sapphires, and it contains gold dust. That path no bird knows, nor has the falcon's eye seen it. The proud lions have not trodden on it, nor has the fierce lion passed over it. He puts his hand on the flint. He overturns the mountains and the roots. He cuts out channels in the rock, and his eye sees every precious thing. He dams up the streams from trickling. What is hidden he brings forth to light. But where can wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its value, nor is it found in the land of the living. So Again, we already talked about this a little bit earlier about the knowledge of the people of the day, and it sounds like Job was also very wise as well. But think about this. It sounds clearly to me that he's talking about lava, and he's talking about mineral deposits that happen when they're under immense pressure and they open up and they're searching for gold, and they're using a smelting process to separate ore from copper and this and that. That they're using those things. And we're going to see in some of these responses where this is how they're making the weapons that they have by doing this and doing that. So it's again, several thousands of years old, where they were utilizing these processes to make gold objects, to do this, to do that, where I firmly believe like man is slowly getting dumber. That's just my thought. I think just throughout the generations, we're just not as smart as they were. But moving on. Into chapter 28. The deep says, is it not in me? And the sea says, is it not with me? It cannot be purchased for gold, nor can silver be weighed out for its price. It cannot be valued in the gold of Ophir, in precious onyx or sapphire. Neither gold nor crystal can equal it, nor can it be exchanged for jewelry of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or quartz, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia cannot equal it, nor can it be valued in pure gold. From where then does wisdom come, and where is the place of understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all living, and concealed from the birds of the air. Destruction and death say, we have heard a report about it with our hearts. God understands its way, and he knows its place. For he looks at the end, he looks to the ends of the earth, and sees under the whole heavens, to establish a weight for the wind and an apportion of the waters by measure. When he made a law for the rain and a path for the thunderbolt, then he saw wisdom and declared it. He prepared it. Indeed, he searched it out. And to man he said, this guy's, if you guys can remember a verse, I've been trying to commit this one to memory because it's so good. I posted it the other day, but it says, and to man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. To me, that is such a deep statement. You want to know what wisdom is? Remember when it's been said many times, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. Job is saying here, behold, the fear of the Lord. That is wisdom. Now, where's the action part of it? Where's the faith? And to depart from evil is understanding. So you get it. You know what I mean? That's the action part of it. I really like that verse. And that's, if you guys are wondering what verse that is, an easy way to remember it is it's literally Job chapter 28:28. It's chapter 28, verse 28. So try and commit that one to memory. Job further continued his discourse and said, oh, that I were as in months past, as in the days when God watched over me, when his lamp shone upon my head, and when by his light I walked through darkness, just as I was in the days of my prime, when the friendly counsel of God was over my tent, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were around me, when my steps were bathed with cream, and the rock poured out the rivers of oil for me. When I went out to the gate by the city, when I took my seat in the open square, the young men saw me and hid, and the aged arose and stood. The princes refrained from talking, and put their hand on their mouth. The voice of nobles was hushed, and their tongue stuck to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard, then it blessed me, and when the eye saw, then it approved me, because I delivered the poor who cried out, the fatherless and the one who had no helper. The blessing of a perishing man came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My justice was like a robe and a turban. I was eyes to the blind, and I was feet to the lame, and I was a father to the poor, and I searched out the case that I did not know. I broke the fangs of the wicked, and I plucked the victim from his teeth. Then I said, I shall die in my nest and multiply my days as the sand. My root is spread out of the waters, and the dew lies all night on my branch. My glory is fresh within me, and my bow is renewed in my hand. Men listened to me and waited and kept silence for my counsel. After my words, they did not speak again, and my speech settled on them as dew. They waited for me as for the rain, and they opened their mouth wide as for the spring rain. If I mocked at them, they did not believe it. In the light of my countenance, they did not cast down. I chose the way for them and sat as chief. So I dwelt as king in the army, as one who comforts mourners. But now they mock me, men younger than I, whose fathers I disdained to put with the dogs of my flock. Indeed, what profit is the strength of their hands to me? Their vigor has perished. They are gaunt from want and famine, fleeing late to the wilderness, desolate and waste. Who pluck mallow by the bushes and broom tree roots for their flood? My goodness. And broom tree roots for their food. They were driven out from among men. They shouted at them as at a thief. They had to live in the clefts of the valleys, in caves of the earth and the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they nestled. They were sons of fools, yes, sons of vile men. They were scourged from the land. And now I am their taunting song. Yes, I am their byword. They abhor me. They keep far from me. They do not hesitate to spit in my face, because he has loosed my bowstring and afflicted me. They have cast off restraint before me. At my right hand, the rabble arises. They push away my feet, and they raise against me their ways of destruction. They break up my path. They promote my calamity. They have no helper. They come as broad breakers. Under the ruinous storm, they roll along. Terrors are turned upon me. They pursue my honor as the wind, and my prosperity has passed like a cloud. And now my soul is poured out because of my plight. The days of affliction take hold of me. My bones are pierced in me at night, and my gnawing pains take no rest. By great force my garment is disfigured. It binds me about as the collar of my coat. It has cast me into the mire, and I have become like dust and ashes. I cry out to you, but you do not answer me. I stand up and you regard me. But you have become cruel to me. With the strength of your hand, you oppose me. You lift me up to the wind and cause me to ride on it. You spoil my success. For I know that you will bring me to death and to the house appointed for all living. Surely he would not stretch out his hand against a heap of ruins if they cry out when he destroys it. Have I not wept for him who was in trouble? Has not my soul grieved for the poor? But when I looked for good, evil came to me. And when I waited for light, then came darkness. My heart is in turmoil and cannot rest. Days of affliction confront me. I go about mourning, but not in the sun. I stand up in the assembly and cry out for help. I am a brother of jackals and a companion of ostriches. My skin grows black and falls from me. My bones burn with fever. My harp is turned to mourning, and my flute to the voice of those who weep. I have made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I look upon a young woman? For what is the allotment of God from above, and the inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is it not destruction for the wicked and disaster for those workers of iniquity? Does he not see my ways and count all my steps? If I have walked with falsehood, or if my foot has hastened to deceit, let me be weighed on honest scales, that God may know my integrity. If my step is turned from the way, or my heart walked after my eyes, or if any spot adheres to my hands, then let me sow, and another eat. Yes, let my harvest be rooted out. If my heart has been enticed by a woman, or if I have lurked at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind for another, and let others bow down over her. For that would be wickedness. Yes, it would be iniquity deserving of judgment. For that would be a fire that consumes to destruction, and would root out all my increase. If I have despised the cause of my male or female servants when they complained against me, what then shall I do when God rises up? When he punishes, how shall I answer him? Did not he who made me in the womb make them? Did not the same one fashion us in the womb? If I have kept the poor from their desire, or caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or eaten my morsel by myself, so that the fatherless could not eat of it. But from my youth I reared him as a father, in my mother's womb I guided the widow. If I have seen anyone perish for lack of clothing, or any poor man without covering, if his heart has not blessed me, and if he was not warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I have raised my hand against the fatherless, when I saw I had help in the gate, then let my arm fall from my shoulder, let my arm be torn from my socket. For destruction from God is a terror to me, and because of his magnificence I cannot endure. If I have made gold my hope, or said to find gold, you are my confidence. If I have rejoiced because my wealth was great, and because my hand had gained much, if I have observed the sun when it shines, or the moon moving in brightness, so that my heart had been secretly enticed, and my mouth has kissed my hand, this also would be an iniquity deserving of judgment. For I would have denied God who is above. If I have rejoiced at the destruction of him who hated me, or lifted myself up when evil found him. Indeed, I have not allowed my mouth to sin by asking for a curse on his soul. If the men of my tent had not said, who is there that has not been satisfied with his meat? But no sojourner had to lodge in the street, for I have opened my doors to the traveler. If I have covered my transgressions as Adam, by hiding my iniquity in my bosom, because I feared the great multitude and dreaded the contempt of families, so that I kept silence and did not go out the door. Oh, that I had one to hear me. Here is my mark. Oh, that the Almighty would answer me, that my prosecutor had written a book. Surely I would carry it on my shoulder and bind it on me like a crown. I would declare to him the number of my steps. Like a prince, I would approach him. If my land cries out against me and it furrows, weep together. If I have eaten its fruit without money, or caused its owners to lose their lives, then let thistles grow instead of wheat, and weeds instead of barley. And then it just says right here, the words of Job are ended. And we're going to get into, like I said, next week, we're going to finish the book, and we'll be done with the next 11 chapters. And we're going to see God's response. And I'm going to shut off the recording here.